There are three compartments of the problems, confronting us now. There's the Fulani agenda in one compartment. The second compartment is that it is in furtherance of that Fulani agenda, which Ahmadu Bello defined excellently in his battle script of 1960, where he talked about the estate of their great-grandfather that should never be allowed to go to other people, which has become the constitution we have now. It is in the second compartment that we now have the constitution, the unitary constitution that the Fulani imposed on all of us since 1979, arising from, their victory in the disputations of 1966 to 1970. That's how we came about the unitary constitution away from the federal union that we agreed upon in Lancaster House. And so it is in that second compartment that you now have all of what we have been discussing about the constitution that is the problem that we have to solve. There's a third compartment, the economic problems we've now seen, resulting from the first two compartments. It is the Fulani agenda and the unitary constitutional arrangement they imposed that resulted in the economic quagmire we are in now. And so Peter Obi coming to talk about how he will solve this and that, all revolving around the economy. He has left the tap on and telling us how he will mop, leaving the tap on. Even if we're in that mopping for 50 years or 100, things can only get worse. That is on one side. Remember again, we talked about plan A, B, and C of the caliphate. Plan A being conquest, raw conquest as we are seeing. Plan B being to disrupt the security situation further and assume martial powers or suspend the election on their own terms, suspend the constitution and begin to do whatever they choose, like we saw in Afghanistan. And so where we are is that it is in that plan C, which takes off from February of 2023, that Peter Obi is playing and all the other campaigns. That's where they're playing. If elections happen in 2023 under this constitution and Peter Obi wins that election, he's not going to touch that constitution. Why do we say so? Look at the people who have been endorsing him and promoting him. Ibrahim Babangida, Olusegun Obasanjo, Aliyu Gusau, Hakim Baba Ahmed, Ango Abdullahi. We allege that Peter Obi has covenanted with them privately as condition for that support that he will not touch that constitution if he won. If that is not the case, Peter Obi himself has to come to the public to tell us what it is. To tell us what he's going to do about that constitution, because everything he's saying about economic this, economic that, will not solve the problems we're talking about. Peter Obi should also tell us what he went to do in Downing Street the day before he went to Labour Party. Because we know the role of Britain. We also know, we have our own sources of knowing what was discussed in all these places, whether it's in Downing Street or in Mina or in Otta.
NINAS, the Constitution of Nigeria, is not our problem. I appreciate the work that you have put in, and I have followed you for quite some time now. I've gone through your several presentations, the pyramid that you have put to illustrate the degree of problems that Nigeria has. I have followed it, putting the crown at the top, which is the Queen and maybe the British, putting the Caliphate, putting the Constitution, and then now putting the Federal Republic, the government, and then the people. The Constitution is not the problem. I agree with the fact that there is an extent of influence of the crown. I agree with that. To a large extent, I agree with the second, which is the caliphate and the agenda to overrun Nigeria. I agree with that. But you see, the agenda of the caliphate, however misplaced it is based not on the constitution. It is based on something. The problems that we see are not from the constitution. It is based on something. Now, you say, oh, we must shut down the journey to 2023. I don't think that is necessary. Nothing will improve except the constitution goes. So you say, oh, the 1999 Constitution empowers the murderous invaders against the indigenous people. I disagree with this, but we'll come to this at a later time. The Constitution as it is, it's not the problem of Nigeria. You say the Constitution is a fraud because we were not all there to enact the Constitution. Newsflash. Not every of the 330 million Americans were at the Declaration of Independence of America. The American Constitution was not enacted by all Americans. In fact, at the point where the American Constitution was enacted, half of America as it exists today were not part of America. California and Texas were not part of America at the time that the Constitution of America was enacted. But they got along, and they have seen several amendments since then. Now, the Constitution is not the problem. What is the problem is the fact that there are the worst of us who connive with the crown. The crown in this case being a symbol to represent the Kolo cabal in my terms. There are the worst of us who connive with them to help the Kolo cabal, the crown as you call it, to achieve their goals, their interest, which is access to our resources, and to ensure that we are kept where we are without growth, without development, without progress. It's in their interest that Nigeria does not develop. They collude with the worst of us to achieve their goals. Now, these worst of us don't care that Nigeria remains where it is without development, without progress. They only care that their pockets are lined with money. That is at the bottom and the heart of the problem. If you take the Constitution as it is today and you bring the Constitution that you want, the British and their influence, the Americans and their influence, the Europeans and their influence will still be there, because the way they do it is by influencing the worst of us to connive and collude with them to keep the remainder, the rest and the best of us in perpetual bondage. That's what they are doing. So it doesn't matter whether it is this constitution or whether it is that constitution, they will achieve their aim so long as the problem, which is the worst of us, allowing themselves to be deceived, to collude with them, to deceive and keep the rest and the best of us in perpetual bondage. This, I think, Tony, is what NINAS needs to be looking at. The Constitution as it is does not prevent each of the state from engaging in economic development. If any state in Nigeria wants, as it is today, right now, with the current constitution that you claim is a fraud, they can develop tremendously. Lagos did it to a large extent. He did not do it to a very, very full extent, but to some extent, Lagos was able to do it with the same constitution. So if all other states are able to work within this framework of the current constitution and are able to change their mindset from this mindset of consumption, taking, and aligning themselves with the interest of the crown, which in this case is the Kolo cabal, aligning themselves with the interest of the crown. If they desist from doing that, Nigeria will make progress. Nigeria will make progress. It is not the constitution. If you change the constitution to a brand new constitution today, the same people will allow themselves to be influenced, to connive and collude with the foreign influencers to keep the rest and the best of us in the bondage that we are. Does the constitution stop us from activating Ajakuta Steel, a project that will bring 15 million direct jobs and hundreds of millions of jobs to Nigerians? It doesn't. But why have we not done it? Sabotage. Because we have the worst of us colluding and aligning with the interest of the foreigners against the interest of Nigeria and Nigerians. Why is power not working? Does the constitution currently stop power from working? No. But we have the worst and the worst of us doing the same collusion with the foreigners to bring about the interest of the foreigners. That's what we should be looking at. Now you talk about the Fulani overrun plan. The Fulani are only as successful to the extent the southern governors allow them. The current constitution does not stop any governor from stopping the Fulani from invading them. To a large extent, the Benue State governor has done a lot. And I dare say that even within the same framework, he could do a lot more, even with technology if he wanted. But he's not doing that. But even the little he has done is a lot when it comes to showing that the states can indeed stop the advancement of any Fulani overrun that you may be talking about. So the constitution is not the problem, Tony. What is the problem is the mindset of the few that have been in charge of running the affairs of this country, and the allowance of the rest and the best of us, of these few worst of us, to run the affairs of Nigeria. That's where the problem is. If we are able to change this with the Peter Obi option, I tell you, I can promise you that Nigeria will take on a new phase. Development will come. We just need to get out of this consumption mindset. We need to get into a production mindset. The states right now are currently not thinking production. They are all thinking consumption. If the states are thinking production, I'm telling you, within the same constitution, Nigeria will make progress. But right now it is not so. So what you should be doing, dear Tony, is supporting the Peter Obi candidacy. All your concerns are quite noted. We know about the interest of Britain. They're not interested in our Ajakuta steel working because it will be a threat to them. They are okay with us importing our steel from them, importing our steel from China, importing our steel from Russia, importing our steel from America. They are okay with that. So we know that their interest does not necessarily align with the interest of the general population of Nigeria. And we know how they go about it. I don't know if you have seen the video about how Shell actually also is being used to promote the interest of the crown of the West. We understand all of this. If Peter Obi has made an arrangement with them, we the people, the arrangement that is going on, this Peter Obi movement is not under the control of Peter Obi. It is the people that is driving it. So come on board. I beg you in the name of God. Let's not divide the efforts that we could have mustered together into a single force that will bring about a change of guards from the old hands of APC, the old guards of APC and PDP, to a new force that will be people driven, that is represented by the Peter Obi movement. Please, let us support the Peter Obi movement while being wary of these concerns that you are talking about. I appreciate your effort. I appreciate the work that you have put in to try bringing dividends of democracy to the people. But right now, what Nigeria needs you to do is to join hands with Peter Obi. Because look, all of this talk that you're doing without the economic empowerment of the people, it cannot work. The people will always be malleable to the influence of corruption, to the influence of money, so long as they're not economically empowered. So the economic empowerment that a Peter Obi presidency is promising and bringing will actually be the catalyst that will transform the Nigerian system from a people that are dependent on handouts from a few that want to keep them oppressed, and emancipate them to a level where they are able to empower themselves because the platform has been created, and then a new Nigeria is birthed. Tony, NINAS needs to get aboard the Peter Obi movement. We need you to do that. That is the way forward for Nigeria. The constitution is not the problem. Forget about Obasanjo, forget about Ibrahim Babangida, forget about Ango Abdullahi, forget about these people. They have done their part. It is time for us to do our part. And right now, we have a golden opportunity to take our destinies in our hands. Please, let's not be part of those who will truncate and divide the united force that we need to bring about a change of guards, to take away the PDP and the APC and bring in a Labour Party with Peter Obi at the helm of affairs, which will be a people-driven administration. Tony, let's do this. Let NINAS get on board. Then I can promise you, all these your concerns will be handled. They will be. Thank you.